What's good, folks? And this is the second episode of the Unconventional Engineer podcast. My name is David, back post call me KG, of course. And this episode is titled Expectant Beginnings. So this episode is a bit different because it's an unscripted episode. So forgive me if I somewhat veer off course or off topic. And also I tend to speak very quickly when I get excited. So again, bear with me. Okay, great. This is a short episode, so let's jump into it. Okay, so I guess we've all had some form of anticipation or expectancy that comes with starting afresh. Whether it's a new job we are taking, or it's a new environment, or we are simply having a fresh start. Because honestly, we can all agree there's always this excitement that comes with these experiences. Now, I have a personal story to share. So, a couple of months ago, I completed uni. And about a week ago, I started my national service. So for those who don't know, national service is essentially a year of compulsory service to your country. So depending on your country, you are required to do 1 year of service to your country. So in some countries, it's military service, etc., etc. You get the point. Now, I started my national service about a week ago. Now, you probably already know this about me. For my previous episodes, I mentioned I tend to set high standards for myself. And in turn, I have high expectations. So imagine me walking into this new world of work, and I'm thinking to myself, all of the possibilities. What kind of workspace will I be using? What kind of co-workers will I be having? What kind of work will I be doing? Will the work be meaningful? I know my Ghana people, this is very funny. This is very funny, but actually relax for me. I'm not going to lie because I was very excited and poised to take on the world of work. But, and a very big but, things went south really quickly. So as is often with starting any new thing in our lives, when we are budding with excitement and enthusiasm, reality eventually sets in. And we end up facing all forms of obstacles and challenges. And our enthusiasm starts to dwindle extremely fast and discouragement eventually sets in, which in turn affects our final productivity. Very obvious stuff. Now back to my story. So I walk into the office on my first day of work and my expectations immediately go down the drain. I mean, everything I wished for was not up to my standard. And now you can see I was being petty because Charlie, I'm in Ghana and I'm overthinking things. But the funny thing, those were my expectations, however petty they may be. Now the question is, how do we deal with the fact that our beginnings may not always be rosy and exciting? How do we deal with the challenges and setbacks we are going to face that may discourage us along the way? These are the pressing questions that need answers. So now my story has gotten to the part where my expectations have not been met. And since they've not been met, it's affecting my enthusiasm, which in turn affects my productivity. So hence, I end up not working well. Now, for me personally, I really don't like this because, again, I always try to put myself out there and try to be the very best I can. So if I'm not giving my 100% at work, it really doesn't contribute to my future goals. So for the past few weeks, I've just been trying to hotwire my brain to work in spite of these unaccommodating circumstances. And it has been quite a journey already. I mean, it's just been a week and I am exhausted already in terms of trying to make myself work in such circumstances. But that's what I want to share today. So let me get into it. Now, number one, the very first thing you should do. Now, the very first thing you should do is to acknowledge these circumstances, these uncomfortable circumstances, these unexpected circumstances. Now, I say acknowledge because when we do not acknowledge these circumstances, we tend to take the negative feedback from those things and project it elsewhere, not knowing it's coming from the unpleasant circumstances. So maybe, for example, in my case, I wasn't enjoying the work environment. So in my case, if I hadn't acknowledged it, I would have probably been being given negative shade to my coworkers. And that in turn affects our work relationship, thus affecting general productivity. So it's very important for us to acknowledge. Now, it's also more important for us to make provision for these setbacks or these uncomfortable circumstances. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you haven't been living under a rock for the past few decades, nothing goes to plan. Charlie, Accra stay by plan. Nothing goes by plan. Or generally, those who don't live in Accra, nothing goes by plan. Life throws a lot of curveballs at us. So it's vital for us to acknowledge and also make provision. Now, the second thing we should keep in mind is to see these setbacks or challenges as a learning process. Because really, if you aren't facing challenges, you aren't really making any progress. because as we face challenges, we continue to adapt and grow. And having a positive mindset is also very important here, because without a positive mindset, you always see every challenge as a setback, not as a learning process. So yeah, that is how I survived the very first week of work, my very first official work. And I mean, I'm still learning stuff, so it's a continual learning process. So as you learn, you continue to get more ideas on how you can deal with these kind of situations for yourself. So yeah, that is a wrap for the episode. And of course, thank you for listening to my thoughts. And if you have any questions or suggestions, you can reach out to me on my socials, or you can use the Q&A section on this podcast episode. So wherever you are listening to this podcast, I hope you've learned a thing or two. I'll catch you in the next episode.